The story begins in a desolate, eerie wasteland. The roads are dead silent except for a toll plaza up ahead that has been completely blocked off by barricades and 2 security guards. A man pulls up in his truck, and immediately the guards start spraying down his entire vehicle with some kind of chemical disinfectant. When the confused driver asks what's going on, a guard casually explains that a toxic gas leaked from a nearby biotech plant, making the decontamination process mandatory. Buying the excuse, the man just drives off. While cruising down the empty road, his phone suddenly rings. As he reaches for it, the phone slips just out of his grasp. Taking his eyes off the road for a split second to lean down and grab it, bam! A deer violently crashes into the front of his truck. The impact kills the deer instantly. Unfazed and treating it like just another everyday accident, the driver doesn't even care. He simply leaves the lifeless body on the asphalt and drives away. But the exact second the truck disappears into the distance, something happens. The dead deer starts twitching. Sickening cracks echo as its broken bones violently snap back into place. Its cloudy, dead white eyes suddenly snap wide open, and the lifeless animal slowly stands right back up, reanimated. The scene then shifts, and we are introduced to Seok Woo, a fund manager who is constantly buried in his work, practically ignoring everything else in his life. That evening happens to be his daughter Suwon's birthday, and her only wish is to go to Busan to see her mother. Feeling guilty, Seok Woo finally gives in and agrees to take her. But on their way to the train station, things start feeling off. A massive fleet of fire trucks and ambulances speed right past them, sirens blaring, rushing toward a towering skyscraper that is engulfed in a horrific fire. Shrugging it off, Seok Woo and Suwon make it to the station and safely board their train. All the passengers settle into their seats, completely relaxed. And right after that, outside, the train attendant was checking the passengers, completely missing the fact that a girl had just rushed onto the train, writhing in agonizing pain. As soon as the checks were done, he gave the signal to depart. But right as the doors closed, he noticed something strange. There was a huge crowd standing on the stairs, and the atmosphere felt weirdly tense. But as the train started moving, a little girl looking out the window saw someone suddenly lunge at the attendant. Terrified, she wanted to tell her dad, but he was fast asleep. Meanwhile, another passenger complained about weird noises coming from the restroom. When the attendant checked, they found a homeless man shaking in pure terror, acting totally out of his mind, like he had just witnessed an absolute nightmare. At the exact same time, in another cabin, that same infected girl was desperately tying a tight rope around her thigh. She knew she was about to lose control, and a few moments later, it happened. Stumbling out of the restroom, she dragged herself into the main cabin. She didn't even look human anymore. But as she pushed the door open, she violently collapsed, crashing hard onto the floor. Unaware of the danger, the rest of the passengers had no idea this train was about to turn into a complete death trap. Just then, Suwon needed to use the restroom. But as she opened the door, a heavily built man stopped her, explaining that his pregnant wife was inside. He pointed her to the restroom in the back cabin instead. Right at that moment, a female attendant spotted the infected girl lying on the floor. Seeing her horrific condition, she immediately radioed the manager. Suwon's dad suddenly woke up, shocked to find his daughter missing. Noticing a train attendant rushing past in a massive hurry, he sensed something was seriously wrong and immediately got up to find her. Meanwhile, the passengers were already panicking while watching the chaotic news on the TV. The female attendant, waiting for backup, was completely confused by the unconscious girl. But out of nowhere, the girl fully turned into a bloodthirsty zombie. By the time the manager arrived, the absolute worst had already happened. In the athlete's cabin, the zombie had pinned the female attendant down. She was desperately screaming for help, but before anyone could even process what was happening, she passed out. Within seconds, the zombie girl had already claimed another victim. Just as Yeon stepped up to help, his girlfriend watched the infection rapidly spreading across the floor. When the manager finally got there, the terrified passengers shoved him aside in a panic. In just a matter of minutes, the entire cabin was swarming with zombies. The manager was completely paralyzed with shock, watching the now-turned attendant savagely biting the passengers. Realizing the horror, he bolted, signaling everyone else to run for their lives. Searching for Suwon, her dad saw a passenger running, but didn't quite understand why. As he walked into the next cabin, he saw an attendant frantically trying to wake people up, until a zombie viciously leaped right onto him. Another passenger, completely frozen in fear, was instantly torn apart. Witnessing this sheer bloodbath, Seok Woo realized exactly what was happening. Grabbing Suwon, he sprinted desperately toward the back cabins, with a ravenous zombie right on their heels. The virus had already infected the front cars, and Seok Woo barely managed to kick a zombie away before it could attack him. Now the back cabins were rapidly filling with the infected. Over near the restrooms, Sang-hwa saw the terrified crowd running and immediately yelled for his wife to come out. Suddenly, they were face to face with a zombie, and Seok-woo was caught right in the middle of it. Before Sang-hwa could even react, a turned passenger grabbed him and attacked. Taking advantage of the chaos, Seok-woo grabbed his daughter and quickly slipped away. Sang-hwa somehow managed to force the zombies into a bathroom and lock them in. Watching a dead man on the floor reanimate into a monster, he screamed at his wife to run. Seeing a massive horde charging their way, Sang-hwa sprinted after her. By this time, Seok-woo had made it to a safe cabin. The passengers inside were glued to the news, but seeing the terrified people rushing in, they realized the exact same nightmare from the TV was happening right there on the train. Back in the hallway, Sang-hwa and his wife were running for their lives with zombies directly behind them. Seeing them coming, an older man suddenly demanded that the main door be locked. Seok-woo tried to keep it open, but the pressure from the panicked crowd forced him to pull it shut, leaving Sang-hwa and his pregnant wife trapped outside with the horde. Little Suwon screamed at her dad to open the door, but Seok-woo was completely helpless against the crowd. Fighting off the zombies to protect his pregnant wife, Sang-hwa desperately hoped the people inside would let them in, but they had absolutely no intention of doing that. Left with no choice, Sang-hwa had to fight his way to the door and force it open himself. Once they were safely inside, Seok-woo noticed that the zombies didn't actually know how to use door handles. He quickly told Sang-hwa to let go of the door. Acting fast, Sang-hwa's wife grabbed some water, splashed it on the glass, and covered it with a newspaper. Cut off from seeing their prey, the zombies finally calmed down. Meanwhile, that selfish old man who had just tried to lock Sang-hwa out quickly twists the story, trying to pin all the blame on Seok-woo. Just then, the conductor announces that due to the horrific situation outside, the train won't be stopping at the next station. Right at that moment, Seok-woo's phone rings. It's his elderly mother, but as he listens, the terrifying truth sets in. She's already been infected. She frantically worries about his safety before her voice distorts, and the call abruptly cuts off as she turns into a monster. Completely helpless, Seok-woo realizes the only thing he can do now is protect Suwon at all costs. Suddenly, the train slams on the emergency brakes as it rolls past a station. Outside, people are desperately begging for their lives, completely overrun by a massive zombie horde. Watching the massacre through the window, Suwon is absolutely terrified. With the entire country descending into absolute chaos, the Korean government officially declares a nationwide pandemic and orders everyone to stay indoors. But then, the conductor drops a crucial update. The train will stop at Daejeon Station, where the military has already secured the area. Hearing this, Seok-woo immediately steps away to call a wealthy client with military connections. He finds out that all passengers will be forced into quarantine at Daejeon, so the officer tells him to take a secret back exit to bypass the lockdown. But Seok-woo doesn't realize that the homeless man is standing right there, quietly listening to every single word. When the train finally pulls into the eerie, dead-silent Daejeon Station, the passengers cautiously step out. Heading toward the main gates, everyone is confused. There's no military in sight. Following his insider tip, Seok-woo pulls Suwon away from the crowd and heads for the back exit. Sang-hwa and his wife watch them leave, completely bewildered. Suwon asks why they aren't warning the others, and when the homeless man suddenly tags along and admits he heard the whole plan, she begs her dad to tell everyone. But Seok-woo coldly shuts her down, telling her that in a time like this, you only look out for yourself. But as the main group heads down the escalator, Sang-hwa gets a terrible gut feeling. He sees the soldiers standing at the bottom, but as they turn around, the horrific reality hits. The military meant to protect them has already been completely wiped out. The soldiers are now super fast, lethal zombies. Sang-hwa grabs his pregnant wife, leaps right over the escalator divider, and runs for his life. Anyone too slow is instantly torn apart. A swarm of infected soldiers charges straight at Suwon, who is completely frozen in fear. But right at the absolute last second, Sang-hwa crashes in and saves her. As the horde shifts its focus to Seok-woo, Sang-hwa and his wife grab Suwon and sprint away. The station corridors are an absolute bloodbath. People are scrambling back toward the platforms, while the baseball players scream at everyone to run faster. Suddenly, a zombie violently tackles Seok-woo to the ground, while Sang-hwa uses a dropped riot baton to jam a door and buy the survivors some time. The homeless man actually steps up, helping Seok-woo fight off the zombie so he can escape. A massive wave of zombies comes pouring in. Seok-woo makes it to the main glass doors, and the men throw all their weight against the glass to hold the horde back. But the sheer number of infected pushing against them makes it nearly impossible. Out on the platform, the panicked survivors pry the train doors open and scramble inside. The selfish old man starts screaming to shut the doors, aggressively threatening the conductor to start the train and abandon the rest. Left with no choice, the conductor gives the order to move. Meanwhile, zombies literally start raining down from the broken glass windows above the platform. Amid the absolute chaos, the passengers get split up into different train cars. Sang-hwa's pregnant wife, Su-an, and an older woman manage to cram into one car. And just as they try to pull the door shut, a hand shoots through the gap. It's the homeless man, barely making it inside. With the train slowly starting to roll out, the real men who stayed behind to hold the glass doors realize the glass is spider webbing. It's going to shatter at any second. Knowing it's now or never, they let go and sprint for the moving train. It's a dead sprint. The train is pulling away in front of them, and a tsunami of zombies is right on their heels. A few of the athletes try to board but are brutally dragged down by the infected. Seok-woo manages to jump onto the moving train and instantly reaches his hand out. Sang-hwa, using a dropped riot shield to smash a zombie out of the way, leaps for the door. Seok-woo grabs him and hauls him safely inside, cementing a deep, unspoken brotherhood between them in that exact moment. Realizing there is absolutely no safe station left, the conductor locks the destination. They are heading straight for Busan. But right now, the survivors are completely scattered across different cars, completely cut off from each other. Sang-hwa's pregnant wife was just about to make a phone call when the homeless man suddenly stopped her. He pointed out that the train cars on both the left and the right were absolutely crawling with zombies. The four of them were completely trapped by the train doors, but because they had stayed perfectly still and completely silent, the infected hadn't noticed them yet. Now their only option was to hide inside the tiny restroom. They crept toward it as carefully as possible, but just as they were about to slip inside, a zombie locked eyes with them. Instantly, a vicious swarm lunged their way, putting all their lives in immediate danger. Meanwhile, Jin-hee got a call from her boyfriend, Yeon, confirming he was still alive. On the other end, Sang-hwa called his wife and found out she was trapped in car 13 with Seok-woo's little girl, desperately needing help. Yeon explained that the rest of the surviving passengers were safe in cars 1 through 5, while the 3 of them were currently stuck in car 9. Knowing their friends were trapped, the trio made a hardcore decision. They were going to fight their way straight through the zombie-infested cars. As the train suddenly plunged into a dark tunnel, Sang-hwa came up with a plan to strike the second they crossed over. He took the lead, ready to smash through the front, while Seok-woo and Yeon covered his back. Bursting out of car 10, the 3 of them fought like absolute beasts, violently pushing the undead back. But the second they pushed into car 11, Yeon completely froze. The zombies standing right in front of him were his own baseball teammates. Paralyzed by the sight of his friends, he couldn't bring himself to swing his bat. Seeing him hesitate, Sang-hwa charged in, slamming the infected down one by one. But as zombies, his teammates were insanely strong. Even watching Seok-woo and Sang-hwa get completely overpowered, Yeon just stood there, shell-shocked. Just as the zombies were about to tear them apart, the train entered another dark tunnel. And something bizarre happened. The zombies instantly stopped attacking and just started wandering around aimlessly. The trio stood there completely stunned. When a baseball accidentally dropped to the floor, the zombies immediately snapped their heads toward the sound. Catching on, Seok-woo deliberately tapped his bat against the metal luggage rack, and the horde instantly swarmed the noise. Taking full advantage of the distraction, they quietly slipped out of the car. But the moment the train exited the tunnel, daylight flooded the cabin, and the zombies immediately spotted them again. Dropping out of sight, the trio finally figured out the zombies' weakness. Their hearing and speed were practically superhuman, but in total darkness, they went completely blind. Realizing this, Seok-woo came up with a genius strategy right before they entered car 12. He borrowed Sang-hwa's phone and quickly saved his own number on it. The second the train hit the next tunnel, the 3 of them silently crawled all the way to the back rows, practically right next to the infected. Seok-woo left Sang-hwa's phone on a seat and then called it from his own device. The moment the ringtone echoed through the pitch-black car, the entire horde sprinted toward the noise. Using this massive distraction, they successfully bypassed car 12 and finally reached car 13. The moment Sang-hwa opened the door, his wife broke down in tears. Su-an was frantically looking for her dad, and Seok-woo finally locked eyes with her. The train suddenly burst out of the tunnel, but they managed to pull everyone into the restroom just a split second before the zombies saw them. Checking his phone, Seok-woo noted they had exactly 2 minutes before the next tunnel. Seeing how hard Seok-woo fought for them, Sang-hwa finally realized he had been dead wrong about him. Seok-woo was actually a genuinely good guy. At that exact same time, Jin-hee got a text from Yeon saying they were fighting their way to car 15. She announced to the whole cabin that her friends were on their way. But hearing this, the selfish old man completely panicked. He aggressively argued that it was absolutely impossible for them to fight through that many zombies without getting bitten. He twisted his words words so manipulatively that he actually convinced the terrified passengers that Yeon-guk's group must already be infected, just waiting to turn. Blinded by fear, the crowd completely ignored the fact that these guys were risking their lives to save others. Jin-hee practically begged the conductor to help, but he did absolutely nothing. When the train finally plunged into the next tunnel, Sang-hwa led the charge. But the corridor ahead was absolutely jammed with zombies. Spotting the overhead luggage racks, Suk-woo whispered an idea, and the group slowly started crawling over the infected in the pitch black. But when their path got blocked, Suk-woo grabbed a heavy bag and chucked it toward the back of the car. The loud crash completely diverted the horde. He grabbed Suwon and started moving. But in the chaos, they forgot about the homeless man still on the rack. As he tried to climb down, his foot slipped. He crashed down hard, and the sudden noise instantly made every single zombie snap toward them. Left with no choice, Suk-woo pushed Suwon ahead to safety and jumped back down to help the man up. But right at that terrifying moment, the train blasted out of the tunnel. Daylight flooded the car, and the zombies instantly charged. Pure terror washed over them. Suk-woo tightened his grip on his bat, ready to fight to the death. From the door, Sang-hwa frantically signaled them to run. Suk-woo told the homeless man he would count to 3, and they sprinted. The zombies chased them ruthlessly, snapping at their heels. The absolute second they crossed the threshold, Sang-hwa slammed the heavy door, trapping a few zombies right in the gap. Using every ounce of his massive strength, Sang-hwa held the half-open door to keep the horde from bursting through, while Seok-woo desperately tried to pull open the door to car 15. But it was completely jammed. It wouldn't budge. Yeon-guk frantically called his friends inside, having absolutely no idea that the terrified passengers inside had deliberately locked them out to die and had physically restrained Jin-hee to stop her from opening. The moment the phone rang, it was instantly smashed. But seeing that the door still wouldn't budge, Suk-woo desperately rushed back to help Sang-hwa. Yeon-guk threw everything he had into breaking the glass door open, but it was just too solid. Meanwhile, Sang-hwa was using every ounce of his massive strength to hold the back door shut, fighting desperately to keep the ravenous horde out. But the situation had already turned fatal. Deep, brutal zombie bite marks were clearly visible on Sang-hwa's hand. On one side, Yeon-guk was frantically smashing against the glass, while on the inside, the passengers just watched coldly. The glass door was on the absolute verge of shattering, but instead of helping, the selfish old man rushed forward to block it. Following his lead, the rest of the passengers teamed up to forcefully hold the door shut against them. In the violent struggle, Yeon-guk's hand got completely crushed in the gap. If he pushed any harder, his arm was going to snap. Right then, an elderly woman inside spotted her sister trapped on the outside. She immediately rushed to push the crowd away, and Jin-hee finally broke free to help her. But against the combined weight of the panicked mob, the two of them didn't stand a chance. Seeing the infection rapidly taking over Sang-hwa, his pregnant wife completely broke down. All she wanted was for their unborn child to meet its father. Knowing his time was up, Sang-hwa desperately yelled at Suk-woo to take her and run. Right before the virus fully took over, he called out the name he had chosen for their baby, and then the glass behind him completely shattered. Fighting to his absolute last breath, Sang-hwa used his own body as a shield to hold the horde back, but there were just too many of them. On the other side, nobody was willing to open the door. To make matters worse, the old man threw his entire body weight into keeping it locked. Meanwhile, the horrifying transformation began inside Sang-hwa, but fighting the lethal virus coursing through his veins, he kept the zombies at bay until the very end. Just as a massive wave of zombies finally broke through, Suk-woo managed to smash the connecting door open. But in that chaotic scramble, the elderly sister on the outside was pulled down and torn apart by the horde. Watching her sister die right in front of her, the elderly woman inside was completely devastated. Suk-woo slammed the door shut behind them, and blinded by pure rage, he delivered a brutal knockout punch straight to the old man's face, sending him crashing to the floor. But somehow, this manipulative coward twisted the narrative, blaming Seok-woo for the entire bloodbath. By fueling the crowd's paranoia, he successfully turned Seok-woo into the villain in everyone's eyes. Instead of fighting back, Seok-woo just listened in absolute disbelief. The panicked passengers forcefully kicked Seok-woo's group out of the safe car, sealing the door behind them and tying it tightly with clothes so they couldn't get back in. Meanwhile, the surviving elderly woman was completely shattered by the loss of her sister. Disgusted by the true, selfish nature of the people in the safe car, she simply couldn't stand looking at their faces anymore. She slowly walked toward the door, holding the infected back. Before anyone could even process what she was doing, she opened it. It was too late. The entire car was instantly flooded with zombies. Because the passengers had tied the other door shut to keep Suk-woo out, they had literally locked themselves themselves inside their own death trap. Up front, the conductor looked out at the burning city covered in thick smoke. The virus had completely taken over everywhere. Right then, Seok-woo got news that the military had successfully secured Busan. Spotting a massive blockage on the tracks, the train driver slammed on the emergency brakes. He realized he had to find a completely new train to make it to Busan. After searching the rail yard, the driver found an intact locomotive and slowly started pulling it out of the depot. Seok-woo gathered his group, stepped off their train, and started moving toward the rendezvous point. At the exact same time, inside the overrun train car, the selfish old man and a train attendant were hiding in a restroom. The old man manipulated the attendant to peek out carefully first, but the absolute second the attendant stepped out, the old man viciously shoved him right into the horde of zombies and bolted away like a coward. The train driver finally got the locomotive out, but he witnessed a terrifying sight, a completely out-of-control blazing train hurtling straight toward them. It violently slammed into a zombie-filled train, causing a massive, catastrophic derailment. Yeon and Jin-hee found themselves completely trapped between the derailed trains. They tried to escape through an empty carriage, but the doors were jammed. Yeon started desperately smashing the glass. Just then, that coward old man scrambled into their carriage. Without a second thought, just to save his own skin, he brutally threw Jin-hee directly into the zombie. Seeing this, Yeon rushed to save her. The old man broke the glass and escaped, but it was too late. Jin-hee quickly transformed into a monster. Refusing to leave her, Yeon held her crying and was bitten as well. The old man sprinted with everything he had toward the moving locomotive, but he tripped and twisted his ankle. The heroic train driver actually stepped down to help him up, but in a final act of pure evil, the old man shoved the driver to the zombies. He scrambled onto the locomotive while the driver was brutally torn apart. Meanwhile, Seok-woo's situation turned deadly. They were trapped under the heavy train wreckage. Spotting a tiny gap, he managed to squeeze out, but just as he tried to pull Suwon out, a massive piece of debris collapsed on top of them. He pushed with every ounce of his strength to lift it, but the glass holding back the horde was cracking fast. Realizing there was absolutely no other way out, the homeless man made the ultimate sacrifice. He threw himself into the horde to hold them off, giving the pregnant woman and Suwon the precious seconds they needed to escape. Seok-woo finally heaved the debris off and yanked them both to safety. A second later, all the windows shattered completely, and the heroic homeless man was entirely swallowed by the undead. As the derailed train shifted, an endless flood of zombies poured out and sprinted straight for Seok-woo's group. The danger just kept escalating. They ran for their absolute lives with hundreds of ravenous infected right on their heels. Just as the zombies were about to snatch them, two of the infected violently collided with each other. This caused a massive domino effect, sending the entire front line crashing down and creating a chaotic pileup of undead bodies. The three of them pushed past their breaking points, sprinting faster than ever, and finally managed to leap onto the moving locomotive. But the zombies were terrifyingly fast. They launched themselves at the train, grabbing onto the back one by one. In seconds, the infected formed a massive, dragging human chain of pure horror, adding so much dead weight that the locomotive started drastically slowing down. Seok-woo instantly assessed the situation. Without a single second of hesitation, he stepped up and started kicking the hands of the zombies clinging to the back of the train. Suddenly, one of the infected managed to scramble up and lunge straight at him, but Seok-woo dodged it just in time, causing the zombie to slip and trigger a massive chain reaction. One by one, the infected lost their grip, tumbling off the speeding train. Letting out a heavy sigh of relief, Seok-woo headed straight for the engine cabin. But the moment he opened the door, pure dread washed over him. He immediately slammed it shut. The selfish old man was inside, and he had already been bitten. He hadn't fully mutated yet, though, and he managed to force the door back open himself. Seeing him stumble closer, Seok-woo panicked and braced himself for a fight. The old man pathetically begged Seok-woo to save him, but right in the middle of his pleas, the horrifying reality of his infection set in. In a matter of seconds, he fully mutated, launching a brutal attack on Seok-woo. During the violent struggle, Seok-woo was quickly overpowered. Sang-hwa's pregnant wife stepped in with everything she had to save him, but she ended up right in the zombie's crosshairs. Seeing her in danger, he instantly jumped back in and tried to forcibly clamp the zombie's mouth shut, but that turned out to be his biggest mistake. The zombie clamped its teeth down and viciously bit Seok-woo's hand. Seok-woo knew exactly what was about to happen to him. Realizing his time was running out before he turned, he formulated a final plan. He grabbed the mutated old man and threw them both straight off the edge of the moving train, sending the monster crashing onto the tracks below. But even though that immediate threat was gone, Seok-woo was about to become the next one. Understanding his fate, he looked over at Suwon. In that devastating moment, it finally hit him just how selfish he had been his whole life, never truly understanding his own daughter's feelings. Desperate to make things right in his final moments, he rushed into the cabin and quickly taught Sang-hwa's wife exactly how to operate the brakes and stop the train. He then walked over to his little girl window and gently pulled her close. He softly told her that from now on she had to stay with her auntie and be a good girl and not cause her any trouble. Hearing this, Suwon broke down into hysterical tears, begging her dad not to go. With tears streaming down his own face, Seok-woo forced himself to let go and stepped out of the cabin, closing the door behind him. Standing alone on the back of the train as the virus took over, his mind flashed back to the day Suwon was born. Remembering the warmth of holding her for the very first time, a peaceful smile spread across his face, washing away all his pain and fear. And with that beautiful final memory playing in his mind, he threw himself off the train to ensure his daughter would live. Left all alone, Sang-hwa's pregnant wife silently held Suwon for the rest of the journey until they finally reached the Busan. The tracks were blocked, forcing the train to stop just before a massive dark tunnel. The two survivors stepped off and slowly began walking into the pitch-black tunnel. On the exact opposite side, heavily armed military snipers spotted them through the darkness. Their direct orders were to kill any infected trying to cross the perimeter. Because it was too dark to tell if the figures were human or zombies, the command came down from HQ to assume they were infected and eliminate them. The snipers instantly locked onto their targets, but right before they could fire, a heartbreaking voice echoed through the tunnel. It was Suwon singing a song. Everyone knew zombies couldn't sing. Hearing the voice, troops instantly rushed into the tunnel to rescue the survivors. It was the exact same song Suwon had wanted to sing for her dad at her school recital, but now he would never get to hear it. And on that incredibly tragic, bittersweet note, this absolute masterpiece of a movie comes to an end. Honestly, guys, this movie gets me emotional every single time I watch it. But what did you guys think of this insane survival story? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know which movie you want me to explain next.